Part 2. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 11. Chapter 11 Lying in Her Blacklist. At the dinner table, Song Wanzhou said to Song Tingzi, "Tingzi, you are 3 months older than Ning Ning. You are the older brother. You usually take care of Ning Ning more at school." "Got it." The young man's voice was gentle and clear, like the sound of jade being struck. Similar to the way he feels. Hearing the word brother, Lu Ning subconsciously thought of Lucian, thinking that that guy was still lying quietly on her blacklist. At this time, she should be sitting at the Lu family's dining table with Fang. Ever since she learned that she often went to Lu's house to have a meal, Ms. Tang Li proposed to give Aunt Ji a living allowance every month, but Aunt Ji refused because she felt that talking about money between neighbors was too outsider. Since then, her mother would buy some fruit snacks from time to time and send them to the next door. Occasionally she would bring some gifts to everyone in the Lu family, such as clothes and cosmetics, when she went on a business trip. The two families got along almost like friends. Aunt Ji treated her very well. As she went to the next door to eat more and more, her favorite dishes appeared on the table more and more often. At this time, Lucian would always call his mother partial, but it didn't stop the guy from knocking on the door as soon as it was time for dinner. "Actually, I deleted that guy just because I thought about it yesterday. However, looking at the way someone is suing for peace today, she is not in a hurry to join in." She also wanted to see how far that person could go to get out of her blacklist. Tang Li glanced at his daughter and said, "Tingji has just transferred to another school and is not familiar with the school environment. Ning Ning should take care of Tingji." Song Wanzhou looked at the two of them, then take care of each other. "Yeah," Lu Ning recovered her thoughts and nodded to the two of them. Tang Li and Song Wanzhou are not talkative people, and Song Tingzi and Lu Ning are even less talkative. The dining table became quiet. At this time, Lu Ning couldn't help but miss the Lu family's dining table. The family sat together and chatted while eating. Although they talked about insignificant topics, occasionally they could hear Lucian and Uncle Lu being scolded. But it makes people feel lively and warm. Has a pyrotechnic smell. Exactly what she yearned for. Ever since she was a child, her biggest wish was that her parents could eat with her and talk to them about what happened in school at the dinner table. It's a pity that both of them are very busy, so it's difficult for him to realize even this small wish. Lu Ning returned to her room after eating. Song Tingzi and Lu Ning's rooms are on the second floor, one on the left and one on the right, with an aisle in between. The two of them went upstairs one after the other. Before entering the room, Song Tingzi suddenly stopped, turned around, looked at her and said, "My dad told me before that he hopes I can change rooms with you. If you have time, you can move your things over." Song Tingzi's room was a suite with a separate bathroom, while Lu Ning's room was originally a guest bedroom. To use the bathroom, you had to go outside. Song Wanzhou considered that she was a girl and it would be more convenient to live in a suite, so he asked Song Tingzi to temporarily give up the room. Of course, it's just a discussion, and he won't force it even if the other party doesn't want to. He has already contacted the workers and is planning to renovate the third floor for Lu Ning to use as a room. It's just that redecoration takes time, and after the renovation is completed, it will take a few days to dry before you can move in. Lu Ning didn't expect that he would say this to her, so she refused without even thinking about it. No need. In the final analysis, she is just an outsider and has no intention of occupying the magpie's nest. Besides, this place is just a temporary resting place for her, and it doesn't have much to do. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 12. Chapter 12. Face is something you just get used to if you throw it away. Lu Ning was wiping her hair after taking a shower when she heard a knock on the door. By the time she wiped her hair and went out, there was no one outside. She only saw a glass of warm milk at the door. She glanced in the opposite direction and took the milk back to the room. Perhaps because he drank milk before going to bed, Lu Ning's bed condition was better than the previous night. Woke up in the morning, changed clothes, and went downstairs. I found everyone sitting at the dining table and my aunt was bringing breakfast to the table. Song Wanzhou introduced her. This is Aunt Zhang. Aunt Zhang's daughter got married and asked for leave 2 days ago. You haven't seen her yet. I'm usually busy with work, so Aunt Zhang and Uncle Li will take care of Tingzi. From now on, you can ask them for help if you need anything at home. Uncle Li is the driver of the Song family. Good. In fact, Lu Ning had never thought about how a family of prosecutors could afford a driver. Moreover, the Song family not only has a driver but also a nanny. However, although she had doubts in her heart, she did not ask any more questions. Song Tingzi's seat was opposite Lu Ning. He raised his eyes and scanned the girl's beautiful face. The palm-sized face appeared to be bright and dark in the dim light through the window. There was a hint of contemplation in his clear eyes, but soon then he gathered it away. On the way to school, Song Tingzi took the initiative to say to her, Uncle Li and Aunt Zhang were both invited by my mother when she was here. After my mother passed away, I needed someone to take care of me, so they stayed here. The other party suddenly mentioned her biological mother to her, which was somewhat unexpected by Lu Ning. She didn't know much about the Song family, let alone the death of his mother. But when his mother passed away, he must have been still young, right? Lu Ning was not good at comforting others, so she thought for a moment and said, I see that you are interested in medical books because of your mother. After all, at this age, there are very few people who can read medical books. So be it. He really only started to pay attention to medical books after his mother passed away. He was not really interested in them. He just couldn't help but take them out and read them when he thought of his mother occasionally. Then do you plan to study medicine in the future? At the first sight of him, Lu Ning felt that he was a cold and unapproachable person. She originally thought that Song Tingzi would reject them as mother and daughter, but so far, the other party has not felt sorry for them. I don't know. Song Tingzi turned his head and looked out the window. He only occasionally read medical books, but he had no plans to study medicine. Lu Ning also asked casually. Hearing this, he did not pursue the question any further. After all, the relationship between the two was not close enough to discuss the future. He paused and said, by the way, thank you for the milk last night. You're welcome, Song Tingzi looked back and said to her. In the morning, because no one urged a certain little girl to get up after moving, Lu Xian slept past the time again. By the time he arrived at school, the school bell had rang 3 times. As a result, he was taken to the door by the class teacher, who severely criticized and educated him in front of the whole class, and made him stand outside to listen to the class. For young Master Lu, who is used to being punished, this is not a problem. As for shame, it doesn't exist. Faces are something that you just get used to if you throw them away. Lu Xian was leaning against the wall outside the classroom. He took out his cell phone from his pocket blatantly and leisurely, and tried to send a message to the girl. Result. Looking at the red symbol that popped up again, it was bright, as if it was mocking him. It's really heartbreaking and glaring. Tisk. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 13. Chapter 13. A green grassland above our heads. Tisk. Is this too much to live with? Lu Xian ground his back teeth and really wanted to catch that girl and punish her severely. It's not good to not be in the same class. In the past, when that girl was under his nose all day long, how could she not be obedient? He said that the East will never go to the West, and he said that if you beat the dog, you will never chase the chicken. It had only been a few months since I was assigned to another class, but my wings had hardened and I dared not to listen to him. Also blocked and deleted. There was a physical education class in the afternoon. When I passed the stairs on the second floor, I saw the girl and a boy standing face to face on the corridor. The two were very close to each other and talking. Lucien couldn't help but squinted his eyes and looked at the guy opposite Luning, vaguely feeling that he looked familiar. Seems like I've seen it somewhere. Behind him, brother number one said, "Isn't that Sister Ning? Who is the pretty boy next to him?" Brother number two immediately replied, "I know, it seems he is a new transfer student, his name is Song Tingzi." Their eyes immediately fell on Lucien's head, and they always felt that there was a green grassland above the other person's head. Lucien's mouth twitched and he said with a dark face, "Why are you looking at me like this?" The two of them immediately laughed and said, "It's okay. Third brother, you don't like Sister Ning anyway. Even if Sister Ning has a new boyfriend, it has nothing to do with you." "That's right, third brother, let's go quickly, the grandchildren from class 3 are still waiting." The two classes took physical education class together and made an appointment to play ball. Hearing the words new boyfriend, Lucien felt his teeth sore. He glanced at the figure in the corridor, then threw the basketball in his hand to the number one guy behind him and said, "You go first." After that, he strode towards the two people on the balcony. Brother number two, Chu Nan, put his arm around Shan Yu's shoulders and said, "What happened?" Third brother was dumped by Sister Ning. The next second she was told, she covered her mouth and said, "Tell your voice lower. Third brother's stubborn mouth has offended Sister Ning to death. Now I have to slap her in the face to coax her. I'm just saying, it smells so good. You may be late, but you will never be absent." "No, what's going on?" "I'll tell you later, let's go, lest the fire burns us both later." Lucien's mouth twitched even more when he heard the voice behind him. He almost forgot that it was this guy who was talking nonsense in his ear a while ago, which made him talk nonsense and angered the girl. Tisk, he can't do anything about the smelly girl, and he can't deal with this kid. Let's practice with him first when we get back. Lu Ning was talking to Song Tingzi. Uncle Li had something to do today and would come to pick them up later. They happened to meet each other in the corridor, and Song Tingzi informed her casually, "I didn't expect to be bumped into by Lucien." "I know." As soon as Lu Ning finished nodding, an extra hand appeared on her shoulder, and then a familiar voice sounded above her head, "Wouldn't you like to introduce me?" Lu Ning turned around and glanced at the other person, then looked in the direction of Song Tingzi and said, "Song Tingzi, the new transfer student from the next class." "Lucien, my former neighbor." Lucien felt uncomfortable listening to the girl's introduction. "What is a former neighbor? Is it difficult to call me brother?" Song Tingzi nodded towards Lucien, seemingly not interested in who he was. Then he looked at Lu Ning and said, "I'm going back to the classroom first." After that, he turned and walked towards the class. Lucien looked at the other person's back and narrowed his eyes in displeasure. "Why do you feel that this guy is cooler than you?" End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 14. Chapter 14. Study hard and don't fall in love prematurely. As soon as the other party left, Lucien's eyes fell on the little girl in front of him. "Stinky girl, didn't you say you don't want to fall in love in high school? That pretty boy is just a good-looking face. I listen to my brother, he is good-looking. Men are unreliable." Lu Ning glanced at him. "Indeed. Lucien. He seemed to have scolded himself too. Of course, there are very few exceptions, such as me, my brother." A trace of embarrassment flashed across Lu Xianjun's face, and he cleared his voice. "Lu Ning, I don't really want to talk to a narcissist. Are you okay? If nothing happens, I'll go in. Wait a minute. Seeing the girl turn around to leave, Lucian hurriedly stopped her and said, when are you going to release me from the blacklist? Lu Ning, look at my mood. What kind of answer is this? No, no matter what you say today, I must be released after 2 days of enduring this. It was already his limit. He admitted that speaking was a bit of a problem that day. But I have bowed my head and apologized. Why can't I still get through this girl? I think you've got it right. I'm also a face-saving person. How can anyone beat someone to death with a stick like her without even giving him a chance? I'm just a good-tempered brother, but others would have been jealous of you. Who has he bowed his head to in this life? That's why he was so humble in front of her. This girl didn't know how to accept it when she was good. I'm telling you, don't always challenge brothers, bottom line, otherwise. Lu Ning raised her beautiful eyes. What else? Lucian, otherwise, I will have to revise my bottom line again. Lu Ning couldn't help but burst into laughter. Lucian suddenly relaxed and said, okay, look, you're laughing, so this matter is over. Then he urged her, hurry up and release me from the blacklist. Let's make trouble again. Who did you learn this habit of blocking someone if you disagree? Finally, he forced the girl to release him from the blacklist in front of him, and then he stopped. Lucian's mood finally improved after being successfully released from the dark room. He whistled and was about to turn around, but then he thought of something. He raised his hand and knocked her on the forehead, warning, also, study hard and don't fall in love early. After that, he left with satisfaction. Lu Ning looked at the other person's back and didn't know how he, a Sea King, could say such things as not to fall in love prematurely. Lucian didn't know what she was thinking, otherwise he would definitely feel wronged. He has never even touched a girl's hand in his entire life. Lu Ning looked away and turned around. As soon as she entered the classroom, she met a pair of bright eyes. Sisters. Jian Nian grabbed her hand excitedly. Before the other party could say anything, Lu Ning knew what the other party wanted to ask. You read that right, it's Song Tingzi from the next class. As expected of my sister, Jian Nian made a powerful gesture towards her, but soon changed her tone to a resentful tone. But, is there anything you forgot to explain to me? We agreed before that when I take them down, 1, 3, 5, will be mine, and 2, 4, 6 will be yours, but you still said no, so today you just stood together with others and whispered. Tell me the truth, have you already fallen in love with this person and are just waiting to steal her so that you can have her all to yourself? You told me earlier, if you really like her, can your sister compete with you? End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 15. Chapter 15. Look, how about I be your sister-in-law? Lu Ning, it's not what you think. Jian Nian, however, covered her ears and said in a pretentious manner, I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't listen. What's wrong with Mr. Nian? Shen Yu saw the scene just after he came back from going to the toilet, and looked at the two of them in confusion. Lu Ning glanced at the former calmly and said, my dear wife is possessed. Jian Nian doesn't have any other hobbies. Apart from watching handsome guys, she usually likes to go to a certain place and read some novels such as The Boss's Little Sweet Wife, Little Hot Wife, and Little Ancestors. Fine writing. No, everyone has become stupid. Jian Nian was a drama queen. After the performance, she started to hold Lu Ning's hand and asked, by the way, when did you two hook up? It had only been a day since the other party transferred to another school. This girl must have done it too fast. But she didn't notice it at all. What's hooking up? Can you use the wording more accurately? Lu Ning decided to correct the girl's language errors. Jian Nian hurriedly interrupted her and said, these are not the important points. The important point is when did you two meet? Didn't I tell you before that I moved, Lu Ning said. She and Song Tingzi went to and from school together, and someone would find out sooner or later. They couldn't hide it anyway, so it was better to tell each other directly from the beginning. So, you two live nearby? Do you live in the same community and in the same building? Jian Nian's mind had already imagined the scene of Lu Ning moving and the two of them meeting at the door of the community and in the elevator. Lu Ning, to be precise, we live under the same roof now. Jian Nian was immediately stunned by the news. She blinked her eyes and took a long time to react. She opened her eyes excitedly and said, "You mean you moved to Songtingzi?" Halfway through her words, Lu Ning covered her mouth. "Does everyone you want to shout no?" Jian Nian calmed down, blinked at her, then pulled the other person's hand away from her mouth and said, "No, you mean, you are living with, now?" Lu Ning nodded. "Damn, what kind of luck are you doing? You had a handsome third brother as your neighbor before, and you can still live under the same roof with the new flower of the high mountain after moving. Well, it's so sour. Why doesn't she have such good luck? But why did you move to Song Tingzi's house? I heard that she moved before, and I thought it was because their family had moved to a bigger house. It doesn't seem to be the case now." Lu Ning pursed her lips and said, "My mother remarried Song Tingzi's father." She had never mentioned the reason for moving to anyone before. Although she did not object to her mother remarrying, it was not something worth publicizing everywhere. But Jian Nian is her best friend, and she doesn't want to hide it from him. "You mean, Song Tingzi's father became your stepfather? Then don't you two become stepbrothers and sisters now?" Jian Nian finally digested the news that they lived under the same roof, and then another update came: breaking news. His eyes instantly opened up bigger than a bell. The male idol she just fell in love with has actually become a family with her best sisters. Tisk, what kind of divine fate is this? It's like a plot that only appears in TV dramas. Jian Nian couldn't hold back her restless heart, so she held Lu Ning's hand and winked at her a few times. "Hello, sister-in-law, what do you think about me being your sister-in-law?" Lu Ning. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is sweet and wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 16. Chapter 16. Can't you be more reserved? Can't you be more reserved? Lu Ning looked at her helplessly. Don't ask, you can't if you ask. Jian Nian asked with a smile, "Can I be your sister-in-law if you are more reserved?" Lu Ning, "I have no say in this, let alone her step-brother, even her biological brother. She can't be the master of his family." That's true, but it's okay to help introduce and create some opportunities, right? By the way, you must have the other party's WeChat account, right? Hurry up and push it to me, he said, and hurriedly took out his mobile phone. This really doesn't exist. Although she had moved into Song's house for 3 days, her relationship with Song Tingzi was just like that. Let alone WeChat, they didn't even exchange phone calls. No way. You two live together, how can you not even have WeChat? Otherwise, you can find an opportunity to ask tonight. Whether I can win the other party depends entirely on you, Sister Jian Nian. He clasped his hands together and looked at her with a begging expression. Do you really want to chase him? Lu Ning thought she was just talking casually that day. Yeah, Jian Nian nodded generously. She said what she said out loud, so naturally she meant it. What do you like about him? It seems that these two people have never even spoken, right? Is this decision too hasty? Jian Nian said with a smile, I just like how handsome he is. With that face of his, I think I can do it. She is a superficial person and pays attention to appearance. What's more, that person is not only superficial. Who can not love a handsome academic? What if he rejects you? Based on her interactions with Song Tingzi in the past 2 days, she felt that this girl was probably out of luck. The other person obviously looks like a good student, so I'm afraid he won't fall in love early. Jian Nian was very open-minded. If you refuse, just refuse. I just think he just fulfills my fantasy of a boyfriend, and it's not like I have to marry him. If this doesn't work, I'll find another one that does. There are thousands of handsome guys in the world. If this one doesn't work, I'll change it. Lu Ning. Well, she is short-sighted. I really didn't expect that this girl had the potential to be a female Sea King. Lu Ning couldn't help but think about Lucian. Did that guy have the same idea as this girl, and would rather miss it than let it go? That man has been good looking since he was a child. As soon as he transferred to another school and was in the same class with him, she saw many little girls writing love letters to him. That guy doesn't refuse anyone who comes, but he will accept all love letters written to him. It's just that I haven't seen him dismantle it a few times. Occasionally, when the mood strikes, he will throw it to her and say, "Child, help me read it." Lu Ning wanted to throw it back in his face, but she had just transferred to another school and didn't want to cause trouble, so she always read him word for word in a soft voice amidst the cheers of a group of people. Now that I think about it, I feel a bit ashamed. What are you thinking about? Jian Nian waved his hand in front of her eyes. It's nothing. Lu Ning recovered her thoughts. By the way, I just saw that the third brother has also come over. Could it be that I misunderstood you and classmate Song, and are you in a hurry to come over and declare your sovereignty? Jian Nian said with a wicked smile at her. Don't talk nonsense. I told you that we have nothing to do with each other. She didn't know why, but it seemed that people around her regarded her and Lucian as a couple, and it was clear that they did not have any ambiguous behavior. I don't know where these people saw it. Thinking about it, Lu Ning asked. Jian Nian said with a smile, third brother's temper can only be tempered in front of you. And don't you think he treats you better than he treats others? He treats you better than he treats everyone else. Be patient. Lu Ning. She really didn't feel it. It's true that that guy bullied her a lot. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart. Soft green plum is sweet and wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 17. Chapter 17. Does length of legs count? Lucian, who has been late for 2 days in a row, arrived early for the first time. As soon as he entered the classroom, he saw Zhang Shu lying listlessly on the table, with a pair of dark circles under his eyes comparable to the national treasure panda. Lucian turned to Chu Nan and asked, "What's going on?" "Chun Nan," I asked, but he didn't tell me. At this time, Shu Shu suddenly raised his head and said quietly, "I dreamed last night that my goddess finally agreed to be my girlfriend." Lucian raised his eyebrows. "Is this because you were so excited that you didn't sleep well all night?" The tone of the statement suddenly became sad and angry. Then I asked her, "Is this true?" She said, "Fool, you will know if it is true if you pinch yourself," so I pinched my thigh fiercely. And then I woke up. At this point, his expression was filled with resentment. Can you understand how I felt at that time? Honestly, I don't understand. So what does this have to do with you not sleeping well last night? Statement, I'm so upset that I couldn't sleep all night. Why don't you let me hold the goddess's hand and wake me up? Lucian and Chu Nan looked at each other and said in unison, "Idiot." As he was talking, he saw Lao Ban walking in with a stack of homework. As soon as he entered the door, he said with an ugly face, "What a noisy place, you think this is a vegetable market? You are the most undisciplined in the whole grade. If you make any noise, you will run 10 laps on the playground." Chu Nan raised his eyebrows and sighed, "Tisk, Lao Ban is going through menopause early. He is so angry early in the morning." Statement, it may also be due to dissatisfaction with desire. Tisk, at this age our old classmate should be more than capable. If he is not satisfied with his desires, it should be his wife. Lucien glanced at the two of them and said, "Okay, can you two stop driving casually so early in the morning? I'm still a minor. Nan Kingchi, why don't you just say you are still a baby?" "Lucien, I am what I am." I couldn't even listen to the statement anymore, and couldn't help but said, "Third brother, can we have some face?" "Chun Nan, that's right." On the stage, the head teacher's gaze suddenly shot towards the three of them. Chu Nan stated that he is talking about you. "And you, Lucien. Do you think you have any other merits besides not doing your job and causing trouble day by day?" Lucien said with a casual expression, "Does the length of legs count?" There was a burst of laughter in the classroom. "You, get out of here!" The head teacher was so angry that his lips were trembling, and he yelled at him with a dark face. "Okay," Lucien stuffed his school bag into the hole in the table and walked out with his 2-day-long legs. The head teacher's voice came from the stage and said angrily, "Go to the playground below and run 20 laps for me. If you are not satisfied, you are not allowed to come back." "Old Ban, is this considered corporal punishment?" Chu Nan said without hesitation. "That's right, our school is not interested in this now," Shen Xiang continued. The head teacher was very angry at this moment, but regardless of whether he allowed it or not, he pointed at him and Chu Nan and said, "You two will also come with me." 3 figures soon appeared on the playground at the entrance of the teaching building. The 3 of them ran slowly. Lucien, with his overly good-looking face and casual and straightforward behavior, was so popular that he instantly surpassed all the top students in number 1 middle school. As soon as he stood on the playground, someone immediately recognized him. At this moment, many people looked down through the windows. End of this chapter. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 18. Chapter 18. I Can't Stop Laughing. On the playground. The statement recalled the scene just now and made him laugh so hard. "The legs are long, ha ha ha, I can't help but laugh." Didn't you see the look on Lao Ban's face? I've already prepared him to call an ambulance. Oh, I'm really afraid that he'll get angry and stick it out. His third brother is the only one who is narcissistic to this extent. Our third brother is still the best. Chu Nan couldn't help laughing when he thought about it. The statement caught up with the other party's shoulder. "You are not bad, you dare to say that the old class punishment." Chu Nan slapped him away with disgust. "Do you think we should prepare some quick-acting heart-saving pills for him next time? We might be able to use them one day." State to jump up and hit the other person on the head. The two of them immediately started chasing each other on the playground. Lucien thought the two of them were noisy. "Okay, you two, please be quiet." Upstairs, Lu Ning's position was right by the window, and she could see the figures on the playground below at a glance. "I don't know what that guy did. He was sent off to the playground early in the morning. The playground at the entrance of the teaching building is not big. Under normal circumstances, 20 laps would be enough for half an hour. The 3 of them just ran for 2 whole classes. After finishing the run, the 3 of them sat by the flower bed to rest. Although they ran slowly, they were still a little tired after running for such a long time. Chu Nan casually picked up a piece of grass and held it in his mouth. He looked in the direction of the 3rd floor and said, "Are we still going up?" Without thinking about it, he said in one sentence, "Get out of class will be over in a while. It's a waste to go up there. You will be criticized when you go back anyway, so you might as well wait until get out of class is over." The last 3 of them went directly to the canteen. "Hang around in the canteen until get out of class is over and then go back." While walking halfway, a girl's voice suddenly sounded, "Lucien." Chu Nan and Shu Shu, who were following Lucien, their eyes lit up and they winked at each other. Lucien raised his head. "I saw a girl wearing a white skirt standing in front of me. Although the weather is getting warmer, it is still somewhat cool. Many people have taken off their thick coats, but there are very few people like the other party who have entered summer directly. Looking at the other person's exposed legs, Lucien felt cold and panicked for the other person. It's a good thing it's not his child, otherwise, he would have to carry her home and force her to put on his pants. Is something wrong? Lucien's life is good. A pair of peach blossom eyes with raised ends and a somewhat narrow look. On the face with delicate facial features, the pair of eyes always seem to look at people with a bit of affection, making people blush and heartbeat unconsciously. Yang Rongshan met his gaze, her cheeks flushed slightly and she said, "Are you free on the weekend? I happen to have 2 movie tickets. Can I ask you to go to the movie with me?" Not far away, Lu Ning saw the figure in front of him, a man and a woman standing opposite each other. He couldn't help but let out a chi and then turned around. She shouldn't care about him too much. "Lucien, you'd better not think about it next time." Huh, Yang Rongshan couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. She asked, "Isn't it okay? What does it mean when the other party tells her not to think about it?" "Lucien, it's a waste of time to think about it, there's no chance for both of us." Why, Yang Rongshan was completely stunned. She did not expect that the other party would refuse so completely. There was a look of disappointment on his face, as well as a trace of unwillingness. "Lucien, because I don't want to be called wool pants." Behind them, Jiangshu and Chu Nan couldn't hold it back and laughed unkindly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The School Sweetheart Soft Green Plum is Sweet and Wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 19. Chapter 19. Third Brother Ju Jueze. Yang Rongshan's face turned purple for a moment, as if it was congested, and her face was full of embarrassment. The lips are closed together and no sound can be made. Especially the statement and Chu Nan's laughter made her extremely embarrassed. "You, how could you do this?" A flash of red immediately appeared in his eyes, and it took him a long time to speak. Then he turned around and ran away in shame, anger. Chu Nan and Jiangshu looked at each other, and then looked at Lucien with a smile. "Ju is still my third brother Ju. It's a new week in the blink of an eye. Have you heard? Yang Banhua from the next class has changed her name and is now called Yang Anning." Early in the morning, Shen Yu came with his gossip. Jian Nian raised her head and said, "Has she finally figured it out? If it were me, she would have changed it a long time ago. It's not easy for her to live with this name for so many years, thinking of being called Cardigan every day. It was her anyway. I can't bear it even for a day. I heard that her parents didn't agree at first. She went on a hunger strike at home for 2 days before her parents reluctantly agreed. By the way, I heard that the name change was also related to the third brother." "What's going on?" Jian Nian was immediately interested and asked after Shen Yu. Shen Yu subconsciously glanced in the direction of Lu Ning, and when he saw the latter also raised his head, he said softly, "Yang Banhua, doesn't she like our third brother? That day, our third brother was punished and ran away from the playground, and then Yang Banhua went to see third brother and asked him to watch a movie on the weekend, but what do you think third brother said?" "What did you say?" Jian Nian asked impatiently. Shen Yu deliberately played it off and made the two of them lose their appetite, and then he slowly said, "The third brother said that there is no chance for them, so he told the other party not to think about it, because he didn't want to be called wool pants." Lu Ning. After a while, Jian Nian finally swallowed her saliva and sighed, "The third brother has such a wonderful mouth." She couldn't help but sympathize with him. Even if you are not there, you can feel the other person's embarrassment. It is so embarrassing to be disliked by the person you like for your name in front of your face. No wonder the other person wants to change his name. Do you think she will continue to like the third brother after being so humiliated? Shen Yu continued to gossip with a face full of interest. "Jian Nian, you'll probably give up, right? Anyway, if it were her, she would never like him again. He's not the only man left on earth, so why do you have to like someone who embarrasses you? Shen Yu, it's impossible to tell. What if she changed her name just to please her third brother? After all, this is not the first time that her name has been laughed at. It has not been changed before. Now it has been changed suddenly. There is no guarantee that it will not be the case. Because I want to dispel third brother's concerns. Jian Nian felt that what he said was not unreasonable. If she can tolerate this, then there is no doubt that she truly loves the third brother. After the two of them finished speaking, they looked at Lu Ning together. Lu Ning, why are you looking at me like that? Whether others really love that guy or not, what does it have to do with you? However, she remembered that day. She originally planned to pay attention to what trouble the other party got into, but seeing that he was blocked by a beautiful woman, she did not bother him. But if he is really there, he dares to say anything, and he is not afraid that other girls will not come to Taiwan after giving birth. Shen Yu, besides the name, Yang Banhua doesn't seem to have any other flaws. She looks good and has a good figure. Sister Ning, don't you have a sense of crisis? End of this chapter. The school sweetheart soft green plum is sweet and wild. Author, Pearfish. Chapter 20. Chapter 20. Could it be that you have some thoughts about me? The only thing that compares to Lu Ning is her figure. The front is convex and the back is curved, making her stand out from others her age. Especially after putting on a skirt, her long legs are slender and long. He is 1.7 meters tall and 1.2 meters long. More people like her than Lu Ning. It is said that when boys look at girls, the first thing they look at is the figure, followed by the face. Jian Nian looked at Lu Ning. I just discovered that the name she changed also contains the word Ning. Could it be intentional? The more she thought about it, the more likely it was. After all, everyone knew that the third brother was different from Ning Ning. Damn, this scheming bitch. Compared to the two excited people, Lu Ning was the calmest one. I told you that I have nothing to do with that guy, so don't always associate me with him. Shen Yu couldn't help but look at Jian Nian, and their worries were in vain. Lu Ning, what's more, if you really like someone, you will never give up because of a name. Similarly, if you don't like someone, you will never like someone just because you changed their name. That seems to be right. By the way, Sister Ning, do you really not like third brother at all? Shen Yu looked at her with a gossipy face. There are many girls in our school who want to pursue third brother. But the one he is most optimistic about is Sister Ning. Yes, Ning Ning. Jian Nian also joined in the fun and said, you see that the third brother is so handsome, you have never thought of taking him down. In the eyes of this group of people, it has always been the default that the two of them are a pair. It would always be a pity if they were not together. Lu Ning thought of the scene where the guy said he didn't like her at the top of the stairs, so she unconsciously let out a soft ha, looked at the two people in front of her and said, I just want to get admitted to Nanjing University, and I don't plan to have a puppy love before college. It seems that the two of them are really out of luck. Shen Yu and Jian Nian couldn't help but look disappointed. It feels like I've taken B. On the other side, Chu Nan and Shu Shu were also discussing Yang Rongshan's name change. Have you heard that Yang Rongshan from class 11 has changed her name? Chu Nan, she lost such a big face in front of third brother that day, so it's normal to change her name. Third brother was too disrespectful to other girls that day. He almost cried when he didn't see the beauty leaving. Tisk. Even so, the third brother is too hard-hearted. I definitely wouldn't be able to bear it if it were me, she said, shaking her head with an expression of pity. Chu Nan glanced at him and said, come on, what's the use of being patient? People don't look down on you. By the way, what did Miss Yang change her name to? Statement, it seems to be called Yang Anning. Wouldn't that mean we have the same name as Sister Ning? Before, Third brother disliked other people's names, but now they have even changed their names, and even changed them to names that third brother likes. You said, third brother would choose Sister Ning and Miss Yang. Who? Chu Nan said, glancing in Lucian's direction. Didn't third brother say it before? He doesn't like Sister Ning. To be honest, Miss Yang is not bad, mainly because she has a stunning figure. If third brother finds her as his girlfriend, he will definitely be very happy in the future. Which happiness are you talking about? Chu Nan raised his eyebrows at the statement. Shang Xiang winked and gave him an expression that could only be understood but not expressed. What do you think? The two of them smiled evilly as if they had discovered some bad taste. Lucian, who was sleeping on the table, suddenly raised his head and glanced at the two of them slowly. The voice he just woke up sounded lazy and casual, slightly hoarse. It's right for you two to care so much about my brother's happiness. What do you think? End of this chapter.